All right, guys, welcome back. Another episode here of Coach's Corner. We did this podcast last year a little bit. Jalen and Jake wanted to bring it back, so here we are on this Monday morning, the week of homecoming here at North Davies, as we continue our football season with a 4-2 record. Much improved from last year's record and last year's team. We just got finished last week taking on the Linton Miners. The Cougars were defeated by a score of 48-14. As we head into Rock Creek this week, let's talk a little bit about last Friday night against Linton. I'm here with Jake Miley. Jake plays both ways, I believe, for the football team. No,
just defense.
Just defense. Well, maybe Jake can tell us a little bit more about how Friday went. Let's start with what went well, Jake, on Friday night.
We had a couple guys stepping in to the starting spot. Jack Townsend stepped in at quarterback. Zoe stepped in at running back, and I think that they executed well. Zoe had, 74 yards rushing with 12 attempts, and that's really good against a really strong defensive team. Jack, he completed a couple passes to Jalen out on the corners, to Ted and Josh. I think our offense just is still improving and is going to do fine in this upcoming game against Rock Creek.
Absolutely, and I know that we've been battling injuries a little bit with our previous starting quarterback Tanner Reed, and I think he's supposed to come back this week from his concussion he suffered down at over at West Vigo. Zoe did have 74 rushing yards with a touchdown. DJ Owens added a touchdown as well on the ground. JT finished with 107 passing yards. Jalen's here with us as well. Did you head over there on Friday night, Jalen? No,
I didn't get the chance to. We had a tennis SWAC, so.
Okay, we'll talk more about that here in a little bit. Where do you think what was our downfall last Friday, Jake, as far as what we didn't execute properly to compete with Linton?
I don't think our backfield competed very good against their wide receivers, their defensive backs. Their passing game was just strong, and they completed too many passes, really, for too many yards, really. Mm-hmm. And our tackling was kind of weak. We couldn't wrap up, take them down, and just little things that kill you in the end, really.
Absolutely. But with that aside, Linton is always a tough opponent, and especially over at their place on their homecoming. I think it was a great test for our team, and I think they're only going to learn from it. So as we head into Rock Creek this week, it is homecoming week, so come out this Friday night to support the Cougars and to be there for the crowning of the King and Queen on homecoming. Jake, what do you know about Rock Creek, and what are we looking forward here these next 3 games, all being at home, to wrap up the regular season?
Rock Creek, they're coming in and on our homecoming, and I hope we can just bounce back from a loss to Linton and execute little things and just practice a little bit more on doing the things right and executing our jobs and using it to our advantage.
Yes, sir. Best of luck to the football guys this week. Keep going and one play at a time. I know sectionals are right around the corner. We're a month away, and that's what you play for. And I'm sure they're moved past Friday night against Linton and moving on to bigger and better things. We'll get into tennis a little bit. Jalen here is a tennis player. He's the number 1 singles player for the Cougars. They just finished up SWIAC play this past weekend at Linton. Right now, the tennis Cougars are 15-3. They're going into the sectional with a very nice record. The sectional draw is actually tonight, so we will know our path to a sectional championship hopefully tonight. Jalen, tell us a little bit about how the season's been going, and also just kind of wrap up SWIAC play last weekend.
The season's been going great, as you said. We battled a few injuries here and there throughout the season. Our doubles players, eventually. We had a few concussions on the sideline. Our 2 doubles player just got back from concussion, but bounced back in SWIAC, and those 2 competed for a SWIAC doubles championship spot. Our 1 doubles have a new crew now that our 2 doubles players back, in Eric Wade and Devin Collins. I think we go into sectional as the favorites after SWIAC. Our 2 doubles beat Bloomfield's 1 doubles, but then eventually lost to Bloomfield's 2 doubles in the championship game. Marcus Britton lost to Turner Royal in the championship game, and I beat Balingraf in the semifinals. So all conference players were me, Marcus, and our two doubles team, which consisted of Hayden Parisian and Brooks Helms. We've had a great season, and we're really looking forward to sectional play.
Awesome. Yeah, I know Bloomfield's a tough opponent. I know they've got some experience, and they've got a good program, and they've got good tradition on their tennis, with their tennis program. I think that's certainly the two teams to look at when you see the draw tonight, to kind of see how it shakes out, for a potential North Davies Bloomfield championship match. And that sectional is held at North Davies, I believe. So, if you're available, and that's this weekend, this Friday?
It will be Wednesday, Thursday.
Of this week?
Yes.
Okay, Wednesday, Thursday this week. Sectional play here at North Davies at Tony Steele Courts. So if you're, looking for something to do this week, come on out and support the North Davies tennis team as they start sectional play. Jalen, being a freshman, coming into the one singles position for the tennis program, what's that been like for you, and maybe what's been some things you've, surprised yourself on as far as your play, or maybe, just give us some overall thoughts on being the one singles player as a freshman and how that's going.
Coming in as a freshman, playing this one single spot, it's always difficult. It's new to get used to from junior high, but I've really enjoyed it. Been having to work on getting stronger, shots-wise, hitting better shots, because as a one singles player, you got to be able to hit shots. But not really as my position as well, because it takes three positions to win. Our team has really stepped up. I'm proud of our other freshman, Colin Kemp, who's played three singles for us. He's having a great year, getting better as the season's going along. Marcus Britton, our two singles player, beat Balingraf in the semifinals to get to the championship. He's playing really well. And our boys have just come together as a team, and as the season's progressed, we started out really good, then we got mediocre, I guess you could say, and then now we're starting to pick it back up once sectional time. I mean, I know the seniors are looking forward to it. I know us freshmen and the sophomores are looking forward to it, and I can't wait to see what we got in store.
Awesome. And correct me if I'm wrong, but yourself, Britton Helms, Hayden Parisian, or Marcus Britton, excuse me, Hayden Parisian and Brooks Helms were all conference this past weekend over at Linton. And again, the Cougars go into sectional play at 15-3. That sectional draws tonight. Look for that across the social medias of the world, and come on out this week if you can to support the Cougars in sectional play. Anything else to add, boys, on your teams heading into a big week for both of you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
All right. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. Briefly, we will wrap this up by discussing a little bit of professional sports, especially a little bit more that pertain to us locally. First, the NFL. The Colts are 2-2 in an AFC South that is wide open, with all four teams being 2-2. The Colts are coming into the season off of the shocking news, more or less, of Andrew Luck retiring. And the replacement of Jacoby Brissett, not really knowing what that was going to be like, but I think he's stepped in and done a really nice job. They're battling some injuries right now. T.Y. Hilton has been out. Darius Leonard's been out. Malik Hooker's been out. So they're really battling the injury bug, and they just took a defeat to the Oakland Raiders this past Sunday, and they head in. Doesn't get much easier for them as they head into Kansas City this Sunday night. Kansas City obviously is a very strong opponent. So, but with that said, I think Colts fans would probably be lying to you if they said they weren't pleased with how the things have went so far, with especially coming off of a franchise quarterback retiring out of nowhere. So Jalen says he plays a lot of fantasy football, and his expertise is going to be more on that side of the things, but. Playing fantasy football, you can't help but know a little bit about how teams are doing. So, any thoughts, Jalen, on how the NFL season started, in particular to the Colts?
I'm actually really happy with the way the Colts have been. Jacoby stepping up, that's a big role to fill. I mean, after a quarterback like Andrew Luck retiring, and Jacoby stepping it up, which he was third-string quarterback under Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, at
Yes,
New
sir.
England.
That's right.
And he obviously knows a little bit about it. Just the experience factor as the season moves along, I think he's going to be stronger with his decisions. I mean, I know it's got to be nerve-wracking out there just to live up to all the hype because, like I said, Andrew Luck has retired. Next week's opponent versus the Chiefs is going to be a tough one. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, one of the top QBs in the league, arguably the number one, especially fantasy-wise. It's going to be a tough opponent, but it won't be impossible. They almost lost to
The Lions
the
yesterday.
Lions. Yeah,
Yep.
the Lions, I believe it was. Patrick Mahomes marched down in the fourth quarter, last play, and they scored a touchdown to go ahead. But it won't be impossible, and I think the Colts will be shockingly if they pull one out.
Yes, sir. The Colts, like we said, are 2-2. They go into Kansas City, and then the following week is their bye week. So, chance to get healthy, chance to come back after the bye, hopefully, and compete in a division that seems to be wide open. So, we'll move on to baseball. Playoff baseball beginning this month. Obviously, October is known for several things, and playoff baseball is definitely one of those things. It's no secret my team is the Cubs. Unfortunately, they were unable to rally the troops this year and make a run at the division that seemed to be wide open there for most of August and September between the Brewers, the Cubs, and the Cardinals. And the Cardinals eventually won it on the last day of the year, taking the NL Central Division title. They haven't been to the playoffs here for a few years, and the Cubs have been that team that's represented the Central. So that's certainly going to be different for me. The last few Octobers I've spent watching a lot of baseball and a lot of Cubs baseball, and that's just not going to happen this year. The Cubs just lost their manager, Joe Madden, who had a heck of a 5-year run there in Chicago, brought a World Series championship to the city. And of course, everyone knows that was a 108-year drought from that happening. So nothing but respect, and I tip my cap to Joe as he moves on to his next probable managing job. Jalen's a big Cardinal guy, and as is his dad, and a lot of people around North Davies are diehard St. Louis fans. So Jalen, talk a little bit about the Cardinals and what to expect as they head into the series against the Braves.
The Cardinals, they've been a very interesting story. They've had these runs that have propelled them into first place to win the division. The Brewers were hot, but then they went into Colorado, and they lost 2 when they needed to win them. It's a game of runs, and the ones that you can limit for the other team are good enough for you. The Cardinals ace, they had to use him yesterday to win the division, as Coach said. He's been a Cy Young candidate for the NL. Very good, Jack Flaherty. Been lights out since the All-Star break. He's been their number one. Against the Braves are a very good baseball team, very good baseball club. They got Acuna, they got Freddie Freeman, they got some pitchers. I think it'll be a very close series, and I think the Cardinals can propel it out, and I think you'll probably see them get the Brewers after that.
Awesome. Jake, I know you're a baseball guy. You play baseball, but how much do you follow Major League Baseball, and what do you know about anything going into the postseason, or anything you want to add in?
I followed a little bit, but the Cardinals this year, they've made a pretty good run going in, and they're both really good ball clubs. So, if the Cardinals ever find the Braves, it's going to be a good game going into it, and it's going to be one to watch.
Yes, sir. To wrap up, I want to just give my World Series predictions. Those of you that follow the game probably know the Astros have a very dynamic pitching staff with Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander and Zach Greinke as their 1, 2, and 3. Certainly gives them an upper hand, probably as a favorite against anybody they play. So they're going to be my team out of the AL, and I'm actually going to take the Cardinals, albeit I'm a Cubs fan. And my reasoning for that is because of the Cardinals pitching. has been very respectable, and then their defense is number one in baseball. So, and I think at any level, pitching and defense typically tend to prevail. So I could see the Dodgers, the Braves, the Cardinals. I mean, any of those teams in there, and it's wide open. But I'm gonna take the Cardinals, and I'm gonna take the Astros in 6 over the Cardinals to win the World Series, simply because that pitching staff is just going to be a little bit too much to overcome with Verlander and Cole, especially at the top of that. So Astros over the Cardinals for me.
Alrighty, Coach, I have to agree with you. From the AL, I'm going to take the Astros. They'll win theirs, and then I'll have them versus the Yankees. And the Astros get into the World Series. And then I'll have the Cardinals in the NL, as I'm a Cardinals fan. But I really think this year that they have the defense and the pitching to make a run in baseball this playoff. They'll get the Braves, they'll beat them, and then it'll be the Dodgers versus Brewers. And the Brewers have been hot, so if they can win their wild card game against the Nationals, against Matt Scherzer, that'll be tough. But I'm going to go with the Brewers, and then I got the Cardinals beating the Brewers. And then I'm going to go with the Astros beating the Cardinals in 5.
All right. Well, a lot of good things going on here in the sports world, not only at North Davies, but also professionally as they start playoff baseball. NFL season's in full swing. College football's in full swing. Hoosiers let another one slip out of their hands there on Saturday. They head into a bye week this week, at 3-2, and very easily could be 4-1 as they, are competing again for another bowl game. But thanks for joining us. This is the first one this year where we've sat down together and discussed different sports topics. We'll probably come back to you again in a couple weeks or maybe sooner once we, learn the tennis results and we get some more football scores coming in. We'll be back and we'll talk indie sports, here on a Monday mornings here in a couple weeks. So thanks for joining us, guys. Hopefully you guys have a great week, and come on out to North Davies these next couple weeks. There's a lot of good things going on. So anything else, guys?
Nope, that's it.
That's all
All
I
right.
got.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.